Thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Kritika, registered dietitian, and this is my second time trying to film this video because the first time I felt like I was really diving into the research and it was very research heavy, but I wanted to redo it because I really want to talk more about the practical application of everything that I'm talking about. What are things to think about before including this way of eating in your life? And I've read probably like 10 or 15 research articles in preparation for this video. I will link them all down below if you guys are interested in research. And I'm also going to be talking about my professional opinion as a registered dietitian on intermittent fasting. So let's get right into this video. So I just want to start out by briefly going over the top 3 claims about intermittent fasting and the research behind it. I don't want this video to be too research heavy, so I'm going to spend most of this video talking about the controversies in my opinion, but I just want to get the what we have in the research so far straight and in this video. What I found is that there's been a lot of rodent studies, but human research is kind of lacking in this whole like memory cognition improvement with intermittent fasting. I think the claim of improving memory, improving cognition with IF is coming from anecdotal reports, which I'm not saying that we should just completely discount anecdotal reports, but as of right now, we don't have any human trials that show that intermittent fasting improves our memory or improves our mood. Actually, some research has shown the opposite effect, that people that do intermittent fasting have worsened mood, poor cognition, more depressed mood, more anxiety, and that has been linked specifically to normal weight individuals. And when I say normal weight, in the research that's defined as having a normal BMI. Now I know BMI, that's a whole nother story about it not being a completely accurate measure of our health or our weight or anything, but in the research, that's how they're classifying these normal weight individuals. And those with overweight or obesity, according to BMI, have improved mood. It's definitely clear that we need more research to make a definitive conclusion about whether or not intermittent fasting is going to improve memory or cognition, even in certain populations. Now, we know that there are certain foods and certain nutrients that have a neuroprotective effect on our brain that can improve our memory and cognition. And these foods are mainly going to be found in fruits and vegetables. And the reason being is because these fruits and vegetables contain antioxidants and phytochemicals. And actually, we don't know if it's really the antioxidant or the phytochemical in the food, or is it a combination of the antioxidants with the fiber in the food, or is it a combination of the antioxidants with something else in the food? Is there something else that is causing these positive effects on our brain that's in these foods? I don't know if research has answered that question yet, which is why we can't just take an antioxidant supplement. We can't just take a supplement and have these same protective effects. So that's why dietitians and health professionals recommend eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, because that can also benefit our mood and our cognition, and along with so many other benefits. And I'll insert a phytochemical chart here, which shows all the antioxidants that are present in certain fruits and vegetables. And the goal would just be to try to increase the variety of colors that you have in your diet in terms of fruits and vegetables. So eating white onions and also purple grapes and green grapes and so many other different colors, because you're going to get so many different types of antioxidants, phytochemicals, and benefits. People also have been found to have cognitive impairments and memory issues when they're deficient in certain vitamins and nutrients. And 2 of them that off the top of my head are vitamin B12 and omega-3s. Because B12, a deficiency of B12 can cause irreversible nerve damage, and it can cause a lot of memory issues. So you want to get your B12 checked out by your doctor. And if you're a vegan, you definitely want to take a high quality supplement. Foods that have B12 are going to be mainly animals and animal products. There are some foods that are fortified with B12, like nutritional yeast and certain plant-based milks. But yeah, B12 is a big one. So if you're deficient in B12, you're probably going to have memory issues. Also, omega-3s. If you're deficient in omega-3s, that can also cause cognitive impairment. And omega-3s are mainly going to be found in fatty fish, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp hearts, but the plant-based sources of omega-3s are not highly absorbable. Need to take a supplement? I mean, you would definitely want to go to your doctor, get your EPA and DHA levels checked out, but see a dietitian, because they can help you see if you need an omega-3 supplement and a B12 supplement based on your dietary history, your medications, because certain medications can even inhibit absorption of vitamin B12. But that just goes to show that there are foods that we can eat that improve our brain function. With intermittent fasting, I just feel like you're limiting your possibility to maximize your nutrients every day. And like I said, we tend not to get enough nutrients on a daily basis with the foods that we eat. So why not maximize that and get all of the benefits that they can provide us? Women who do intermittent fasting, it may not affect our blood sugar in the best way after fasting. So we may have a higher insulin after intermittent fasting. Whether or not this in the long term causes ill effects, I don't know. I don't know if that question has been answered. There also was a question about women's hormonal cycle or menstrual cycle being a little bit off because of intermittent fasting, specifically having longer menses. I think there also has to still be research done in that area. And I think it's important to note that most intermittent fasting in the research is actually done in women, not in men. So we actually don't have a lot of data in men, we have more data on women. Then in terms of weight loss, I wanted to find out, is there something magical about fasting itself that's producing weight loss, or is it just the calorie restriction that intermittent fasting is providing? Because number one, research has shown, and anecdotally, people have seen that they are just more full after fasting. You get more full and you get more satiated from the meals that you eat, so you tend to eat less calories. And also sometimes it can be really hard to get in all of your calories in that nutritional window. And I wouldn't call this magical, but after about 12 hours, there might be individual differences here, but after about 12 hours, you might enter into a state called ketosis. And ketosis has been shown to improve or increase fat burning. And there was this one study that I looked at calorie restriction versus intermittent fasting. And they wanted to see, is there something magical about the intermittent fasting itself, or would it act the same in terms of results with the calorie restriction? What they found that both groups that did the intermittent fasting versus calorie restriction, had the same results. Also, I just want to quickly give you my perspective on my own personal experience with intermittent fasting. And I would encourage you to listen to a wide variety of different people's perspective and their experience with it as well. When I was younger, I did actually have experience with fasting. I probably shouldn't have done it back then because I was really young. That's definitely a contraindication for anyone under the age of 18. I don't think they should be doing intermittent fasting because you can really miss out on those vital nutrients like calcium at that time when your bones are still growing, and you can help yourself prevent osteoporosis when you get older. Anyway, sorry, tangent. But I remember it vividly because there were days where I would fast, and then there were days that I would eat. So I would fast for 24 hours. There was one time I specifically remember that I had fasted for 24 hours, but then the next day, instead of fasting, I had like an eating window. And I just remember vividly that when I would eat again, I was just so full and so bloated. I remember having one sandwich, probably like 500 calories, and I just felt so overly full. It felt kind of gross and really uncomfortable, and I just felt like I was wavering between being so starving and then being so stuffed, even when I just ate a little bit. And it made me feel like I was eating so much when I really wasn't. I ate one sandwich and I just felt so full. So I didn't really like that, and I just prefer now listening to my hunger and fullness and having like a smaller gap between being hungry and being content rather than being starving and being overly stuffed. So that's just my personal take on it. The first thing I wonder and worry about is sustainability a question here? So I've heard anecdotally of a lot of people that do intermittent fasting for years, and they're happy with it, and it's not affecting their social situation, it's not causing any anxiety, it's not really affecting them negatively. And I think that's great. Like, if you find a way of eating that works for you, go for it. As long as you are making sure that you're getting all of the nutrients that you need. We don't eat a lot of fiber. We don't eat a lot of potassium. And when you're doing intermittent fasting, it can put that extra barrier to getting enough fiber and potassium. The way I see it, every single day is an opportunity to maximize your nutrition, to get all of the nutrients that you need, to get all of the benefits that foods can provide us. And with intermittent fasting, you're kind of limiting that a little bit. I think it would be really valuable to work with the dietitians. I know some dietitians are intuitive eating dietitians and they're completely against intermittent fasting, but some dietitians are weight management dietitians and they can help someone with intermittent fasting. A dietitian specifically can help figure out what is the best way to do that for you while also meeting all your nutrient needs. The way that I see it is that intermittent fasting, you are actively going against your hunger levels. You're saying, you know what, I'm not gonna listen to my body, I'm not listening to my hunger levels, I'm just gonna eat within this nutritional window and ignore like my hunger signals. And this is probably only because the clients that I've seen, they benefit so much from learning about their body and learning about their hunger levels that I just wish everyone would be able to get that education, would be able to learn about that a little bit more instead of feeling like they need to restrict by doing intermittent fasting, because it can feel very restrictive in my opinion. Ultimately, it's completely up to you to decide what you want to do, but there are certain populations where I feel you should definitely not do intermittent fasting. And that would be anyone who's had a history of an eating disorder, anyone who has type 1 diabetes, and intermittent fasting can make you hypoglycemic. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, and probably more that I'm not really thinking about, if you're underweight. Oh, by the way, I got this idea to do this video because I saw this documentary on Netflix called Unwell. Really, really great documentary. I feel a lot of documentaries are biased, like they give you one perspective and they ignore all the evidence that shows the other perspective, but I think this documentary does a good job of not being biased and they show you all the different perspectives. So Christy Harrison, she's an amazing intuitive eating dietitian and she's on the documentary, but she's definitely on the stance of she doesn't recommend fasting for anyone. And she talks about one reason being that it can cause refeeding syndrome. Refeeding syndrome can happen in a normal weight individual even 5 to 7 days after fasting, like purely not eating anything. So in that case, it would definitely be dangerous. And I think just doing intermittent fasting in itself, like when you're restricting yourself to eating only in a certain nutritional window, it can be kind of triggering. There's not really research on is this going to trigger an eating disorder. I haven't really seen that in the research, but just from my perspective and my professional opinion on it, it seems like it can be, because you are, like I said, you're depriving yourself. You're actively saying, I'm not going to eat even though I feel hungry. And I just feel like that can lead you down a little bit of a scary path. So I would just be cautious about attempting that. So I hope that gave you some things to think about. Let me know what was most interesting for you to hear in this video, and I will see you guys very soon in my next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.